In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the back section, what I call the dumper, to go with our dumper truck. And I'm going to start by doing a sketch, which is the side-on profile. I'm then going to cut a section out for this middle bit. We're going to mirror it, and then we're going to shell it. Those corners are made by filleting. Okay, so we'll run through this reasonably quickly, and then we'll constrain it within an assembly later on so we can move it and have a look at how that works. Right, so we're going to go File, New, make sure it's on metric, standard millimeter part. Okay, and then I'm going to go right click, New Sketch, and I'm going to choose one of these side-on planes, either here or here, a vertical plane, as opposed to a horizontal one. Okay, so I'm going to choose the YZ plane and click. Okay, I'm going to just check my view cube is the right way up. I can tell that by looking at my lettering. And now I'm going to put a series of lines in. Now, I'm going to just slightly start away from that bit. Away from the origin. I'm going to come along. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I want to get that measurement to about 30, but I'm not going to type any measurements in because I don't want to lock it off yet. I'm going to come up at 90 degrees. That's important. I'm going to come across now to that line and join it up with the beginning. So if you remember, what I did is I started my line slightly away from the origin. Press cancel to finish doing my lines. Okay, so we've got a 90 degree here, we've got a slight angle there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually dimension that. So when I sketched this, none of these lines were constrained by a dimension. Okay, so we're going to do that now. I'm going to use the dimension tool up here, click on that, click on the line and hold the mouse button down and drag, and then click to edit it. Okay, so that's going to become 30 millimeters. I'm going to put another dimension. I click and drag and then click to edit it. That becomes 15. I'm not going to worry about the length of this. Am I going to worry about the length of that? Do you know what? I am going to worry about the length of that. I'm going to delete this dimension. And I'm going to put that dimension on top instead. And I'm going to make that 30. And I'm going to make this one 25. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to worry about dimensioning here. It doesn't warrant it. Okay. So I'm going to finish my sketch there. All right. So I've got 15, 25, and 30, which gives me a nice little angle here. If I just click on the right, you can see that. All right. Now, next thing I'm going to do is to extrude it. So I'll move this with my view cube. Remember, I can also move my views by holding down the shift key, pressing down on the middle mouse button, and dragging, which is what I prefer to do. All right. That was shift key, middle mouse button down, and drag. All right. So now, you might remember from previous tutorials, I'm going to right click and go for extrude. I could also get to it up here. Okay. It preempts what it thinks I'm going to do. Extrude, so it thinks I'm going to do that bit. If it didn't give you that sort of preview of an extrusion, you could click within those lines and it would do it for you then. All right, now that needs to be a measurement of 12.5. 12.5, because if you remember, we're going to mirror it, and that's going to give us 25 overall. Okay, so that's now part of the back of my truck. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is to actually put in where that cutout bit is. All right, and you do that by doing a sketch on the face. All right, so again, holding shift and middle mouse button down so I can rotate it a bit. I'm going to do a sketch on this face here. So I'm going to go new sketch whilst highlighting that. I'm going to just, I'll do that again so you can see I did it a bit quickly then. All right, so I'm going to go hover, so that face is highlighted, right click, new sketch. All right. Okay, now my sketch is going to be a rectangle which is 11 wide by 11 high. So I'm going to click so it actually attaches to that point there, and hopefully now when I dimension it, it'll stay locked onto that point. So if I do 11 and press enter there, and I do, with my dimension tool, I drag out and do 11 here and press enter. Okay, I've now got a section which is cut out, I'm going to use to cut out part of my shape. This will all make a lot of sense in a second. Okay, so if I just rotate this a little bit so you can see where my sketch is. Alright, so it's on the face of that, and it's 11 by 11. Okay, and I'm going to trim off. Am I going to trim off? No, I'm not going to trim off. I'm going to, fillet. I'm going to put a curve on this point here. Alright, so if I go to my fillet tool, fillet, I'm going to make the fillet a radius of 5. Now, fillet is just a curve, basically. Okay, so I've got a 2D fillet of 5. If I click on, or if I'm not clicking actually, I'm just hovering over that corner, you'll see a little green line appears running here, previewing my fillet size. Okay, so if I now click there, I've got 11 up, 11 across, with a radius of 5mm. Okay, and at that point, I'm going to finish my sketch. All right. This will all become clear now, because instead of drawing an object which extrudes forwards, I'm going to use that object to extrude backwards. So watch this process. Let's do it by hitting the extrude button up here. Remember, I could do it by extruding here. Let's do it with this one. Click. Okay. So it doesn't know what I'm trying to extrude. It's a bit confused, so I'm going to hover over this profile and click on it. It thinks I'm going to extrude in that direction, but actually I'm going to go in the opposite direction. If you look over here, go in direction 2, that'll flip it. The distance is going to become, let me remind myself, I think I'm going to do that at 3. Okay, and I'm making sure that I'm actually cutting and green tick. So now, instead of it being a solid shape sticking out the side, I've extruded it in the opposite way. So let's just look at that extrusion again. If I go edit feature, okay, if I flipped it in direction 1 and I made it a solid, it would be sticking out. Instead, what I've done is I've flipped it to the opposite direction and I've cut, and that removes material. And that's a process that you'll do quite a lot when you're 3D modeling. You'll often create a basic shape and then you'll use another shape to cut bits out of it to sculpt it. Alright, so I've now got a pretty decent body. Okay, so there's my 90-degree angle there. Click, sorry, 90-degree angle there. I've got a slope at the back. I've got my fillet here. Okay, so I'm almost ready to, in fact, I am ready to mirror that. Okay, so you might remember from the process before. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take that object and I'm going to mirror it so that this is the face that is my axis of reflection, or my reflection plane. Alright, so I'm going to go up here to mirror. I click on that. I'm going to choose my features, which is going to be that one plus that one. Then I'm going to choose my mirror plane, which is that one. And then I'm going to OK it. Alright. Now before I go too far, I'm going to save this. File, save as. I'm going to call this, just check that I'm actually saving it in the right place. Very important that you save things in the correct place. I've got to go through a couple of events. 2017. It's critical that you save things in the correct place. Just OK everything there. Because when you come to doing your assembly and you're looking for things, you need to know where you can find them and what they're called. So you can't have silly names, you can't have just lots of letters and stuff. Right, so back to where we were. So we've saved it, and what we're going to do now is we're going to fillet it. Going to put lots of curves on it. I haven't got any special measurement for that, but I go to my fillet tool. I'm going to change my fillet amount to, let's give it 5 and just have a quick look. Yeah, 5 looks all right to me. I want a nice soft shape. Okay, so it's all of my outside edges, and then I'm going to OK that. Okay, maybe 5's a little bit big. Maybe I could have gone for 3, something like that. And then I'm going to just radius these ones, but they're molded plastic, so I'm going to radius them or fillet them with a much smaller fillet. I'm going to go to 1 mil. Okay, and you'll see it's a much more subtle effect. All right. And then my final move here is to actually turn that into a hollow. You'll notice what I'm trying to do here a little bit is I can click on any view on my view cube and it will face onto it. I can also zoom in and out. Remember, if you lose it, if you go too far, you can click on the view and it will bring it back. Anyway, right, let's now shell this. Okay, so if you're like me, you can lose track of where everything is. Just hover around a little bit, and on my 3D model I'm going to want to shell it, which is the icon there. Okay, we're going to stick with 1 mil, which is what we used before on the body of the dumper truck. Click on the top face and press the green tick. Alright, so there's my shell icon there. Sometimes you get a different view depending on what you've clicked on in your space, but you're looking for one. When you hover over it, you'll get the option. It's shell is what it's called. Alright, so there now is my dumper truck dumper. I'm going to call it, I'm going to give it a, change the material to, I think we used HDPE, high density polyethylene before. Polyethylene high density. Okay, and I changed, I believe, the color. Just clicked on those little arrows there. I don't want to change. There we are. So what I've done is I've highlighted the whole object up here. Instead of doing like individual panels, I'm choosing the whole object, and then I'm going to green tick it. Okay, so that's now giving me my yellow base. Now I don't know whether you've noticed, but if I look at my view, I've got all these edges and stuff. I can go to my visual style, and I can go realistic. So rather than having all the edges showing, in my view style, I can just have shaded. I could put shadows on, which on a slow computer can slow things up, but on a decent computer gives you a better view. I can also do reflections, which again can slow things up. So if I'm modeling, I tend not to have that on. Okay, I'll turn the shadows off as well. Right, so that's basically the end of that dumper truck. The only thing that I might do, and I might come back to that in an assembly, is to put an axis running through here, because I think we might find that when we assemble it, it needs an axis. But for now, for this video, I'm going to leave it at that. So make sure you do File and Save As. Make sure you know where it is. So that was dumper version 2. Okay, make sure it's saved. Well done.